Ghana, a land of immense beauty and rich cultural heritage, finds itself caught in a perfect storm of economic crisis. But what led to this situation, and how can this West African nation navigate the stormy waters to find economic stability once again? In today's episode, we'll dive deep into the complexities of Ghana's economic woes and explore potential solutions to bring the country back on track. So fasten your seatbelts and let's embark on this intriguing journey together. Today we'll delve deeper into the political and historical context that has contributed to Ghana's current economic crisis. We'll examine the specific corruption scandals and instances of mismanagement that have had the most significant impact on the nation's economy. We will look at how these issues, amongst others, have led to the country's current predicament. Over the years, Ghana has faced numerous corruption scandals involving public officials and government agencies. Some of the most notable cases include the infamous Woyome scandal, in which businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome fraudulently received a substantial judgment debt from the government. The Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency GEDA scandal, which revealed large-scale corruption and financial malfeasance within the agency. The judiciary scandal, which exposed widespread bribery and corruption amongst judges and court staff. The passport office scandal, which revealed corrupt practices and inefficiencies within the passport issuance process. There was corruption in the police service, including incidents of bribery and abuse of power. Corruption at Tema ports, highlighting bribery, smuggling, and fraud that have plagued one of Ghana's most important trade hubs. These incidents, among others, have not only eroded public trust in the government, but have also led to the wastage of precious resources, leaving the country in a dire economic situation. The continuous presence of corruption and mismanagement has created a bleak outlook for Ghana's economy, with no immediate end in sight. The cumulative effect of these corruption scandals and instances of mismanagement has resulted in a weakened economy and a lack of faith in the government's ability to effectively manage public resources. It has also stifled growth in key sectors and contributed to the nation's high public debt, inflation, currency depreciation, and the balance of payments deficit. The persistence of these issues has created an environment in which the country is unable to invest adequately in essential services, infrastructure, and social welfare, leading to an economic crisis that has affected the lives of millions of Ghanaians. Next, we're going to delve into the broken promise of oil revenue in Ghana and examine the economic prosperity that has never seemed to materialize. We'll embark on a journey through the consequences of Ghana's heavy reliance on oil revenues and how the impact of lower global oil prices and production has shaped the nation's economy. Since the discovery of oil in 2007, Ghana has been captivated by the prospect of wealth as a solution to its economic challenges. However, this over-reliance on oil has led to severe consequences. like the vulnerability of the economy to fluctuations of the global market, leaving the nation's fiscal health exposed to uncontrollable external forces. A disregard for other vital sectors such as agriculture and manufacturing, limiting economic growth and leaving the country less resilient against future shocks. The breeding ground for governance challenges, including corruption and mismanagement, which has hindered the effective use of oil revenues for the greater good of the nation. Corruption and mismanagement. Where has Ghana's oil revenue gone? The management of Ghana's oil revenues has been fraught with issues including corruption and mismanagement, and here are some examples. In 2013, Ghana's state-run oil company GNPC was accused of misappropriating millions of dollars in oil revenue, with funds being used for questionable purposes, such as financing political campaigns. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has reported that some oil revenues meant for priority sectors such as education and infrastructure have been diverted to unauthorized uses or have simply disappeared. In 2020, an investigative report by the Norwegian news organization Norwatch revealed that Ghana had lost over $9 billion due to poor oil contracts and mismanagement in the oil sector. These examples of corruption and mismanagement demonstrate the urgent need for Ghana to improve governance and transparency, especially in the oil sector, ensuring that oil revenues are used for the betterment of the nation and its people. In conclusion, the broken promise of oil revenue has left Ghana grappling with economic instability and an uncertain future. It's time for the nation to re-evaluate its priorities, diversify its economy, and effectively manage its resources to ensure long-term resilience and prosperity for all. Now let's examine why Ghana has repeatedly failed to diversify its economy. We'll focus on the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. We'll delve into who's to blame for these failures and discuss new ideas and industries that could potentially help Ghana break this cycle. Now, despite the importance of agriculture to Ghana's economy, the sector faces numerous challenges, and the manufacturing sector has experienced limited growth. As a result, Ghana's economy remains heavily reliant on a few commodities, leaving it vulnerable to external shocks. Who's to blame? Politicians and economists. The blame for Ghana's repeated failure to diversify its economy can be attributed to both politicians and economists. Politicians have often prioritized short-term gains over long-term sustainable development, while economists have sometimes adhered to outdated models and practices, failing to explore innovative solutions for diversification. To break the cycle of failed diversification, Ghana needs to explore new industries and ideas that do not require heavy investment on natural resources. This could include fields such as software development, robotics, engineering, artificial intelligence, and tourism. By investing in these areas, Ghana can create a more diverse and resilient economy, less vulnerable to external shocks. The responsibility for Ghana's repeated failure to diversify its economy lies both with politicians and economists. But we must ask ourselves, why do the government of Ghana and its economists seem to suffer from so much inertia? Could it be that they stand to gain in the chaos? As we ponder these questions, it's essential for Ghana to break away from old models and embrace new industries and ideas that do not rely on heavy investment or natural resources. This could include fields such as software development, robotics, engineering, artificial intelligence, and tourism. By investing in these areas, Ghana can create a more diverse and resilient economy, less vulnerable to external shocks. In conclusion, the responsibility for Ghana's repeated failure to diversify its economy lies with both politicians and economists. But we must ask ourselves, Why do the government of Ghana and its economists seem to suffer from so much inertia? Could it be that they stand to gain in the chaos? As we ponder these questions, it's essential for Ghana to break away from old models and embrace new industries and ideas. By doing so, Ghana can create a more diverse, resilient, and prosperous future for its citizens and overcome the inertia that has held it back for so long. In this chapter, we examine the implications of Ghana's increasing external and internal debt. We will discuss the consequences of high debt servicing costs and how corruption, wasteful spending, and revenue leakages have contributed to the crisis. Lastly, we'll address the need for transparency and accountability in public finance management, pointing to poor governance as the primary culprit. Ghana's increasing external debt from commercial sources has several implications, including higher interest rates and a greater reliance on international creditors. These factors make it more challenging for the nation to achieve long-term economic stability and financial independence. High debt servicing costs have reduced fiscal space for essential spending on social services and infrastructure development. As a result, Ghana's government has limited resources to invest in critical areas such as education, healthcare, and transportation. Corruption, wasteful spending, and revenue leakages have further exacerbated Ghana's debt crisis. These issues stem from a lack of transparency and accountability in public finance management, leading to the misappropriation of funds and inefficient allocation of resources. The issue of transparency and accountability in public finance management is crucial for Ghana's economic well-being. Yet, regardless of who is in power, NPP or NDC, the problem persists. So who stands to gain from this lack of transparency and accountability? The unfortunate truth is that various politicians, government officials, and interest groups benefit from the lack of transparency and accountability in public finance management. This allows them to engage in corrupt practices, embezzle public funds, and allocate resources based on personal interests rather than the greater good of the nation. Furthermore, political parties often use these ill-gotten gains to fund their campaigns and maintain their grip on power, perpetuating the cycle of corruption and mismanagement. Consequently, regardless of which party is in control, they all seem to be more focused on protecting their own interests than addressing the pressing issues that are facing the country. To break this cycle, Ghana needs a concerted effort from civil society organizations, the media, and ordinary citizens like you and me to demand transparency, accountability, and an end to corruption. By holding politicians and government officials accountable for their actions, the nation can work towards dismantling the structures that enable corruption and mismanagement. Religion has a significant role in Ghanaian society, but its influence on the economy is not without controversy. One prime example is the National Cathedral project championed by President Nana Akufo-Addo as an act of thanksgiving to God for his blessings and protection over Ghana. The National Cathedral project brings into sharp focus the government's incompetence and misplaced priorities. While the president believes the cathedral will serve as a symbol of national unity and a space for religious activities, critics argue that it is a waste of public resources in the midst of an economic crisis and a pandemic. Allegations of misappropriation of funds, lack of transparency in the awarding of contracts, and the environmental and social impacts of demolishing buildings and displacing people to make way for the cathedral have further fueled the debate. In this chapter, we'll examine the complex relationship between religion and the economy in Ghana and discuss how projects like the National Cathedral are a clear example of a government with poor priorities and incompetence. By choosing to allocate scarce resources to a religious monument rather than addressing more pressing needs like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The government demonstrates its lack of foresight and inability to prioritize the well-being of citizens. This failure is not unique to one political party. Both the NPP and the NDC have displayed a lack of understanding when it comes to addressing the country's most urgent needs. The National Cathedral Project is just one example of this pattern of mismanagement and misplaced priorities. In conclusion, the National Cathedral Project raises important questions about the competence of Ghana's government and the choices it makes. With a history of poor governance, the people of Ghana must continue to demand transparency, accountability, and a focus on projects that truly benefit the nation, rather than those that cater to special interests and further entrench the status quo. As we've explored in this series, Ghana's economic crisis is a complex web of issues, from political incompetence and corruption to over-reliance on oil revenues and the inability to diversify the economy. The National Cathedral Project serves as a stark reminder of the government's misplaced priorities and the urgent need for change. In the face of adversity, however, there is hope. A brighter future for Ghana lies in embracing technology and innovation. With the power of AI, Internet of Things, and of course, the Internet, the playing field has been leveled, offering unprecedented opportunities for creative solutions and progress. If, and only if, we focus on the right priorities, harness our creativity as a nation, and invest in emerging technologies, we can lift ourselves out of poverty and build a more resilient and prosperous future. So let us continue to question, challenge, and strive for a brighter future for Ghana. The power to create change lies within each and every one of us. Together, we can build a nation that rises above adversity and truly thrives. If you've enjoyed this series and want to stay updated on the latest discussions and insights, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Your support helps me to continue bringing you content that inspires change and sparks important conversations. My name is Alfie. Over and out.